for joining us today. How did you get started in the entertainment law field, and what inspired you to get into this?
Hi, Connor. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I am a native Angelino, and I've been around creative people almost all my life. And my mom is also a painter, and my aunt is a musician. So I've been around this for a long time. And I was a science major at UCLA. Then I decided to go to law school at USC, and USC and UCLA both are very big on film and television, and especially at USC we have a big entertainment law program. So I took those classes, and I was a little ambivalent about what area of law I wanted to practice until I went into my entertainment law class, and we had this fantastic professor who would bring in different practicing attorneys each week who would talk about their practice in a specific area of the law, I thought it was fascinating. So while I was there, I started working at an entertainment law firm that all they did was entertainment and music, which entertainment is a very, it seems like a small area, but it's actually, it covers lots of different areas.
It's very broad.
It's very broad, exactly. So I had an amazing exposure to it, and then from there I continued.
That's so awesome. What are kind of like, you can't talk about specific clients, but what kind of clients do you represent? Or like, what kind of artists kind of have you represented mostly in your career?
So at the various places that I worked, I started out in a talent firm. So that would be the people you watch on screen, you listen to their music, or you have them on your social media, and even some athletes. And then, the big names and people who are starting out their careers, in which you see them grow in their throughout their careers, how they start and how they develop, and where they wind up. And then from there I went to the studio side, and from there to production companies, and years later here I am.
That's so amazing. And what has your professional journey been like? Like starting with your studies in college up to where you are now. How has things like changed through your journey? Like what are the biggest lessons you've learned?
That's such a good question. So I was pre-med, I was a hardcore science major, and then I decided I wasn't gonna do that. I made a turn, and a lot of uncertainty, and even when in law school, what kind of law do I want to practice? What area do I want to get into? And even now that I'm talking about it, I'm getting kind of excited, and I've been very lucky to be able to follow something that and be able to practice something that I'm very passionate about. And so my lessons are, it's okay not to know where you want to be. Some people are blessed in that way, and they continue in one path and everything is fine, but it's okay if you don't, and you kind of meander a little bit and explore and try and figure it out, especially nowadays with everything that is going on and the uncertainty that AI is bringing to all of our lives. So
yeah, and since you mentioned AI, let's get into that a little bit.
Sure.
What kind of work do you do specifically pertaining to AI? And how does like AI artwork compare to human-made artwork?
So it's quite a sharp pivot, but let's get into AI. So I'm sure nowadays, wherever we turn, everybody's talking about AI. AI from, it's actually started a couple of years ago with you know, all the guilds, the entertainment guilds,
Mhm.
kind of going on strikes.
Yeah.
And one of the major issues was the use of AI.
Mhm.
So, but now we can all see is impacting everybody in the
Mhm.
healthcare, how the decisions are being made. Even
Mhm.
some cars are using some AI technology that monitors how you drive,
Mhm.
and your insurance is kind of based on your driving habits.
Mhm.
So, but in particular in this area of what we do and technology, you know, entertainment and technology are very much related, and in how we produce content and how we consume it is directly affected by the technologies that are available. You know, going back to Napster and, you know, the emergence of the internet,
Mhm.
and then we all remember Netflix. Well, not all, but
Mhm.
not all of you guys, but some of us remember Netflix when it started.
Mhm.
And then it was a physical CD that you would receive, and then you
I
would,
remember that.
you remember that,
Yeah.
yeah, that was me too.
Mhm.
So, and then it went into streaming.
Mhm.
So technology affects entertainment,
Mhm.
you know, and how, in a very profound way, and
Mhm.
how we make it, how we use it, all of that. So I recently spoke at an organization for post-production,
Mhm.
you know, crews, and and it was about AI, use of AI. And while we all think that this, you know, AI is transforming us, which it will, and it is, but it's not so easy to implement it just yet. The biggest issue everybody was having is you need to have whatever AI language model you're using. For example, let's start with the LLMs, or as they get smarter, the agents and the different forms of AI, is that they need to be clean. So I'm sure you've heard of lawsuits that are coming up about studios suing these AI companies because they're training them on materials that they haven't licensed, or they don't have the permission to use
Like
them.
stolen artwork.
For example. Yeah, so the AI has to train on something, but the material is owned by somebody who owns the copyright or who created it. So you have to ask the permission before you can use that to train your machines. So you want to make sure that the AI is clean. And the short answer to that is you can't be 100% sure that the AI tools that you're using are 100% clean, but you can put, you know, you can use different ones that have been verified, or the paid version, so you can, you know, try and mitigate that as much as possible. So that's one issue. The other thing is that privacy, the stuff you put into these machines, you know, then they're going to be used to train other machines. Well, again, you can try and mitigate that by your settings and using the paid versions and all that, but still, there's a possibility. For example, for attorneys, there's something we call attorney-client privilege. So whatever you say to your lawyer is privileged and cannot be used against you. But if the attorney uses some sort of an AI tool, then that privilege is lost. So, and then let us not forget the most important part, that to have copyright protection and ownership of what you're creating, a human has to create it. That was the idea behind, you know, patent law and copyright, that it would be protecting human creation and incentivizing the creativity. So unless something is created by a human, copyright doesn't apply to it. There's a famous case about a monkey that pushed a button and took a photograph of itself. You can copyright that. And now if you use AI tools to make things, they're not copyrightable.
A follow-up question to that, is there like a difference or a line between like So say someone writes a whole script with AI, that couldn't be copyrighted, but what if someone uses AI as like special effects in their film or something like that, where most of the film is human made, but then there are AI tools as well? Is that like a fine line to be drawn?
Right, so that's a really good question. So anytime you use AI to create your work,
Mhm.
you want to make sure that you take very have very good records of
Mhm.
what parts are not created by a
Mhm.
human, and have very good records.
Mhm.
So to the extent that the parts that are created by a human, copyright applies to it,
Okay.
but you can't claim copyright to the portions that are not created by human.
Okay, that's important. Yeah, shifting a little conversation to a different topic. You mentioned you spoke at the post-production event. You've spoken at different panels and podcasts and stuff like that. Would you like to share with the audience kind of what you talk about at these events, or what kind of events have you gone to?
Well, yes. Lately, it's been all about AI
Mm.
and use of AI,
Mhm.
just like we kind of chatted about right now.
Yeah.
But annually, I do a panel at the Film Festival, which is held in Los Angeles, and usually is in downtown. But this year they're going to switch to Encino, and this film festival for anyone who wants to submit their movies, but mainly it needs to have a female component as part of one of the creative teams. And our panel is about film finance and distribution in the age of AI. So AI, we can't get away from it. It seems like it's popping up everywhere. And I don't know if you've heard about micro dramas and verticals. That's something that has become very popular. So that's another thing that keeps popping up. But yes, I've spoken at film festivals, film schools, USC Film School, USC Law School, and Southwestern Law School, various podcasts. You can find me on YouTube if you look, or on social media, yes.
Cool, yeah, and at the end we'll have you share all your social media so the viewers can find you. What is like your favorite part of the work that you do, if you can choose one?
You know, it's really a privilege to be working with people who have created something. They put their heart and soul into it, and then be the part of the process of them bringing it into life. You know, be it music that they've created, a book they've written, or a script they've written, or a TV show, or a project that they've created. I mean, it's quite fantastic if you think about it. Something that didn't exist, it was in somebody's imagination, is now put in a form where you can sense it and view it or listen to it, and being part of that process is very rewarding.
Yeah, definitely, and protecting the artists, so that like nothing happens while they're trying to create their work. I think that's really important.
Protecting their rights and making sure that they can reap the rewards and participate in it.
That's amazing. So what are kind of like the biggest things that you protect your clients from? Like, what do you find most issues that people run into?
So, again, a very good question. So from the time you create the work, you want to make sure, first of all, that you register your copyright, right? So you establish your ownership. Then if you are working or collaborating with other creators, you want to make sure that you document that. A lot of times creatives, they're so excited about the work they're doing, and it's usually a group of friends who you've known each other forever, went to college together, and they get together and they write a script, or they start messing around with the camera and creating work, and then they want to put it on the internet, webisodes. I mean, I can tell you a couple of different shows that started that way when I was part of, that are quite famous, and then they didn't do their paperwork, they didn't write a contract. So, and then things come up later on. So you want to make sure that everybody is clear about where they stand. Until you put it to paper, what you think might be the case is not. So
Yeah, it's definitely important to have it written down what the agreement is, especially because a project, you never know, it might blow up and take off. And then
100%.
with a lot of success, that can cause a lot of drama between people if they don't have an agreement set.
Right, kind of clear understanding of what each party's expectation is.
Definitely. So what is kind of like the process with getting something registered for copyright? And like, what happens if someone doesn't register right away? Like, do they still have protections for their work?
So, you and I talked about this for a little bit.
Yeah.
As soon as you create an original work and you fix it in a medium, copyright attaches to it. But if you take the second step of actually registering it with the U.S. Copyright Office, it confers a lot of benefits to you. One of which is if somebody's infringing on it, then you have prima facie case that this is yours, you own it, and then attorney fees and statutory damages, and so I strongly recommend that, and the fee is not that much, it's a nominal fee, that you register your work with the Copyright Office, and if God forbid something happens, it provides a lot of protections.
That's good enough. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Would you like to share with the audience like where to find your work? Where are you on social medias?
Of course, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and not as much on TikTok anymore, but you can find me on all the social platforms with my name.
Do you want to tell the audience how to spell your name or what your specific handle is? Just so
and
they
also
know.
my website.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so Nadia Davari, if you Google me, you'll find me.
Awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
it's spelled Nadia for Nadia. Last name is Davari. Very phonetic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thank you.
been a great time talking.
Likewise.
And
thank you.
yeah, stay tuned. We have another interview coming up very soon. Thank you, Maeya TV. See you later.
Bye, everyone. How was it?